Hi, my name is Nick. I live in the Catskills. That's upstate New York. I do a lot of work on the truck videos like this Ram 2500, and I do work in the house and in the shop. And if you like that sort of stuff, subscribe. A lot of data in this video. I want to get it under 10 minutes. Let's get going. This is about MPG on this 2021 Ram 2500. This is a tradesman. It's 3,111 payload, so it's around 6,900 pounds. It has 410 gears. I did a video on 410 gears. It'll be linked at the top of the description. Check it out. This is without a doubt the most asked question. I said, what is it getting on MPG? What is it getting on MPG? And I have a lot of data because I had it from stock to now where it's way over stock. If you don't know, I have a camper cap on there, Snap Outfitters Treehouse. There'll be a video on that as well. I have bumpers. I have like a whole camper build going on in the bed. Let's start from stock. 410 gears, absolutely stock. The tires are stock. Everything is stock. It is getting about 12 to 14. That's what it was getting for, I had it for about 2,000 miles. Right now it has about 9,000 miles. For about 2,000 miles, and it's always in fluctuation when you're that low, but 12 to 14, that's not caring. That's an important part here. Not caring. I didn't care. Every once in a while I'd peek at it and be like, oh, look at that, 13.2, oh, 12.8. It was right in this 12 to 14 range. I added the bumpers. I happened to go to the dump. When I was coming out, they weighed it. It was 200 pounds over with the bumpers. Front and back steel bumpers. No change in MPG. If it was imperceptible. It's 12 to 14. Same thing, not caring. The next thing, on the way to get this cap installed, the Snap Outfitters Treehouse, the camper cap, it's like flip up one. It weighs about 400 pounds. On the way there is a 4-hour trip. I took about a 55-mile section, and I said I'm going to really concentrate on MPG and see what I can get on the highway. I hit 17, and then I ran into gridlock, and then it went down to nothing. But I had 17 miles per gallon. I remember staring at it. It said 16.9. I was like, man, maybe I can get 17. I hit 17 going through Pennsylvania, and that's pretty hilly. So 17, you can get 17 if you really care with a stock 2,500 with 410 gears on the highway. You can do it. Coming back, I didn't care. I have 400 extra pounds, and I got the same amount. I basically got, not 17, I'm saying I was getting this 12 to 14 range. If it was lower, it had to have been lower, but I couldn't really tell. It was probably a quarter MPG, maybe a half MPG less on average. So maybe I wasn't getting 13, I was getting 12.75 on average. I couldn't tell because I wasn't carrying that much. Every time I looked at it, it was always in fluctuation. So we're 7,500 pounds at this point, and I can't really tell the difference, but it probably was a little less. Remember, this thing, 3,100 pounds payload, and I had about 600. And the cap sticks up about 12 inches. It's an aluminum cap. It's pretty aerodynamic though. Only 12 inches is not that bad. I just went away, if you've been following along, I just went away to North Carolina, and this is where it gets really, really interesting. And this is where the most amount of data is that I said, I'm going to do this two ways. Going down there, I'm not going to care, and coming back, I'm going to care on the highway to see what I can get. And I was loaded up. I must have had close to 2,000 pounds of payload. And you say to yourself, how is that possible? Okay, I had 7,500, so that's 600 pounds. That doesn't count me. When you go to the dump, right, that's where I was getting it weighed. They don't count you because you go into the office. So you add me to that. I weigh 225. I'm at 825. You got my wife, you got 925. You got my kid, let's say 950. You got my two dogs. That's 1,050. That's 1,050. Then you got the cabinets for the camper bed build. That's at least 500 pounds. At least. It's probably something like 600, 650. Right? We're at 1,700 plus all the garbage that we need to bring for a 1-year-old and my wife. You're talking close to 2,000 pounds. 2,000 pounds. Go in there, didn't care. I had a 450-mile section on the highway, and I did not care. I just hit the button and let it go, and I got 12.2. I got 12.2 on the highway, 2,000 pounds of payload. I think that's pretty good, to be honest with you. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Now, here, and I thought that too going down. I was like, man, it's like 12.2. That's pretty awesome. It took 7 hours and 39 minutes of driving to do that 450 miles. Remember this. This is the most important part about this. Coming back, I said, I am going to care. I said, we're going to take a section of 450 miles and we are going to care about this MPG. It was like a freaking video game. I was concentrating so hard on MPG. Incredibly hard. I mean, my wife was in the back seat dealing with the baby and I was just focused on MPG. I got 14.2. 2 miles per gallon better carrying. 14.2 is pretty darn good with 2,000 pounds of payload. 8 hours and 3 minutes. 8 hours and 3 minutes. That's a difference of 24 minutes. That doesn't sound like that much, right? 24 minutes slower saves 2 MPG. That's pretty good. I'm going to flash how much money that actually saves. So $3.50 a gallon, something like that. I'm going to flash how much money that saved doing that. The next thing that I thought was interesting when I got home was that I realized that I had to make an extra stop for gas going down there because I would have arrived at my destination with very little gas, and I didn't want to do that because I really, you just never know where a gas station is when you're down there, when you're down somewhere you're not normally at. But coming back up, I had a ton of gas when I got to the house. I didn't need to make an extra stop. One extra stop going down. You getting off the highway for gas, you know how it is. If you get off at a rest stop, it could be 10 minutes. That's not bad. It could be 20 minutes, though, if you have to get off at some random exit. Call it 15 minutes. That's only a difference of 9 minutes now, right? Because this time is about driving time. So stop time, it doesn't count on this thing. You turn off the car. So we're only talking about a difference of 9 minutes. And then when I realized that, it hit me. And I said, you know how when you're driving along and somebody comes up behind you and he's tailgating you and then he zips into the left-hand lane and he cuts you off and boom, drive? Like, and you're just like, what a moron, right? This guy just almost kills you, right? Flies right by you. Like 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, you're at a stoplight with him, right? And you're just like, look at this idiot right here. He almost murders me in the car, and we're at the same stoplight 15 minutes later. And it made me realize is that, like, the roads are designed and the speed limits are designed for a reason. And you're not going to this is not the Cannonball Run. You're not going to California in 28 hours. And that's not what you're trying to do here, is that it's a very small amount of time you're going to save by speeding unless you're going to speed at 125 miles an hour the entire time. And this is what I came up with. If you really care about MPG, you probably know these things, but these are like the 3 tips that I have to get better MPG. This is what I figured out because I took this really was like, I was using freaking game theory out here trying to get better MPG. The first thing is don't pass anybody going uphill. If you are going uphill and you're in the right-hand lane, which you should be in the right-hand lane. Because if you're in the left-hand lane, you have a tendency to speed because people are coming up behind you. Like, oh, I'll just go faster. No, stay in the right-hand lane. But if you're going uphill and you come up behind someone and they're going slow because it's uphill, it slows you down, do not speed up to try and pass them. You do that 10, 15 times in a trip, that's gonna kick your MPG's butt. Don't do that. The next thing is that don't use cruise control. I didn't use cruise control once at all. Either way, actually. If you use cruise control, it's the death of MPG. Don't ever use cruise control. If you are addicted to cruise control, you cannot be addicted to getting better MPG. It's not possible. The two things, they don't go hand in hand. And the last thing is drive the speed limit. Drive the speed limit. Everything is designed around the speed limit. Your car is designed for the speed limit. They're not going to design a car that gets better MPG at 100 miles an hour because then you can be zipping around at 100 miles an hour. 55 miles an hour, 60, 65. Nowadays, there's highways that are out of control speeds. But I didn't run into any of those like 85 mile an hour highways. The most I saw was like 70, I think. With this car, 410 gears, you do not want to go over 2,000 RPMs. You do not. You want to be below 2,000. And right when you get around that 70, that's when you're hitting those 2,000 RPMs. I was at 65, 60, 70 when I really had to, when the speed limit was at 70, but that's it. And that's the way to get better MPG. You don't drive 85 miles an hour. You will never, ever get good MPG. And you say, oh, you know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to get somewhere faster. Leave 15 minutes earlier. Get up 15 minutes earlier. Leave a little sooner. have enough time to get to that place, and then drive a normal speed, you're going to get into less accidents, right? Well, you have less of a chance to get into an accident, and you have less of a chance of getting a speeding ticket. I'm telling you. That's the data I have. That's it. And really, I mean, honestly, it's amazing what I was able to do when I really cared about MPG. And that's it. All right, everyone. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.